As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner, YouGov, offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more. And the headline here is Call of Duty League and Overwatch League loosen sponsorship restrictions will allow betting and liquor sponsors. Now, I don't remember if the article mentions this, but Activision Blizzard especially has been very careful about the sponsors they bring into both franchise leagues. Up until now, they had rejected anything that was even remotely like 21 plus. And so this is a big course change for them. And I'm curious what you guys think in terms of the why, and what do you think the implications might be here?
Okay, so I had actually, I had sent you guys a different article this week, and I'm not sure if you got a chance to read it, but essentially the article was about how a lot of sponsors were pulling back from Overwatch League sponsorships and looking at streamers instead. So that seems kind of...
Who was this, Lindsay?
Let me look up the actual article, but I sent it, and I knew you guys weren't going to read it because it's called "Gaming Influencers Are the Future of Esports."
Oh yeah, no, I had seen that.
There was actual stories in here. Like there's a Houston Outlaws player who actually quit and went to Twitch and like made a lot of money. The head of the United Talent Agency says streaming is the way for companies to make money off of esports athletes. Like there was a couple, I'm looking now.
But how are you tying this back to
This feels
Activision
like a different
Blizzard?
article.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying that like you're seeing streamers and other people specifically leaving Overwatch League to go seek other money-making opportunities.
Fair.
So adding in sponsorships for things like liquor and betting that might actually be attractive to a younger audience, or a way to engage a younger audience, seems
you
like
think
more fun to me.
Adding these sponsors will bring a younger audience to their franchise leagues?
Yeah.
I think
so. You think if this Overwatch League match was sponsored by Bud Light, it's going to get more under 21?
I think there's not under, over 21. But there's the money. I mean, again, like I'm from this generation. So people aged 20 to 30 have a lot of disposable income, have a lot of time on their hands, and are generally very engaged with esports. Yep. Bringing in a liquor sponsorship and allowing betting is a way to further engage that audience. Imagine like Bud Light sponsoring a tournament or a game or whatever. Like, just makes more sense to me than like opening that up makes more sense to me when they're losing sponsorships.
What you're arguing, Lindsay, is a little bit like the tail wagging the dog a bit. Like, I don't know if the ads are going to create more engagement, but I think it's a good moneymaker. And I understand why those ads want that audience. So I think it's kind of a win-win for both the league and for those sponsors. I'm not sure that having those sponsors, like nobody's like, I'm going to watch more Overwatch League because I can see DraftKings ads. Like, hell yeah, that's so awesome. Like, there's a Budweiser ad. Like, cool. I'm gonna watch more. But it's a money making thing, and I think this was inevitable. Because if you watch any sort of sporting event on TV these days, or anywhere you watch it, you see a ton of sports betting ads and beer ads, and then car commercials and a bunch of other ads as well. But those are two massive categories. So it's a bit surprising that the Overwatch League had, particularly for a league that I think is viewed as hurting for revenue, maybe is a strong word, but they're still in their infancy and they need revenue streams. Why would they be holier than thou and kind of not accepting money from a beer sponsor? Like, it's not like, something explicitly bad or illegal. I mean, it's beer, it's alcohol, like very mainstream thing.
Yeah.
Isn't this the story of Activision Blizzard franchise leagues, like in a perfectly encapsulated nutshell, right? It's high hopes, high dreams, over promise, right? We don't need, betting and liquor sponsors. We're family friendly. Millions of people will come watch us, right? We don't need to go to that into the gutter with the rest of the, the esports. We're just so much bigger and better, right? And then the product under delivers, and now they're scrambling for revenue, right? Like how do we keep the ship afloat, basically? And so do you guys feel like this smells of desperation, right? Because they did toe the line of, we're family friendly, we're better than this. They didn't say that publicly, obviously, but a lot of the actions implied that, right? And now you make this 180 turn. I don't see this as like, oh, very strategic. We're desperate. We need dollars coming in. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys don't agree with that.
Yeah, I definitely see it like that. I just think that the ability, the betting and usually the liquor sponsorships also, or alcohol sponsorships in general, come with more fan engagement experiences that I also think that they're hurting for. That was my point. Like, this is a way to better engage fans. Not this is a way to drive fans to them, but it's a way to better engage fans.
Okay, so, but do you think there's some downside here? Do you think losing the family-friendly label, will it hurt viewership at all?
I mean, this isn't like the 1960s. Like,
okay,
alcohol
some
ads
parents
not family friendly.
So you think there's no parents that would just say, I'm not taking my kid to an Overwatch League match, or I'm not letting them watch Overwatch League on YouTube because every 10 minutes it's Bud Light?
I mean, there might be some very small portion of people who do that, but I think we're kind of past that. Like, these ads have become so mainstream. Like, you can't watch a baseball game. You can't watch, the Friends reunion without seeing a Budweiser. Like, it's just, maybe those aren't great examples.
They're ubiquitous.
The average age of both of those viewerships is like 1,000, but you know what I mean? They're so mainstream.
Friends and Major League Baseball.
That was terrible.
Really going terrible. After that 13 to 18 crowd.
That might have been the two worst examples I could have possibly came up with, and I have no idea why I came up with those two, but probably. Anyway,
for everyone listening, Friends was a show in the 90s, okay? Because
oh my gosh.
The point is they're very mainstream. So I think this is more of a why was their policy in the first place?
Yeah.
This versus, why did they make it now? Like, I think it was a mistake to ever have not allowed those ads versus it's a mistake now to allow them. And
because they thought, I'm sure, that by being family friendly, you would get a whole category of audience that would feel more comfortable spending money going to an Overwatch League match than they would taking their kids somewhere else.
Do you think it's possible that this was a strategic response to maybe the viewership is actually skewing older than they thought? So they had thought it was going to be mostly 13 to 18, and now it's actually mostly 18 to 30. And they're like, well, okay, now that we see what our audience actually is, why are we limiting ourselves? Like, maybe there's some actual rational thought to this versus more of we seem to be positioning it as like a retreat or a desperation play. Maybe it's, well, we thought the data was going to be this. The data turns out it's that. So we change our strategy based on that. Like, that's what good companies
Maybe someone just watched a football game and saw the Clydesdale horses and was like, oh, we could do that too.
I mean, Jeff, you give them too much credit, I think. Right? Like, I really think here's how the meeting went, which is the ship's going down, guys. Like, what can we do? Right? And that I think, yeah, right? And I'm sure they had turned down liquor and betting sponsors previously. And so the easy sort of solution was, hey, Budweiser called us like 6 months ago. Let's just go back to them and see if they still want to do a deal.
Let's not forget crypto. What was the article? It said crypto and what else?
Yeah, I was going to say, Christian, is this the same article?
It's the same article. I think it was an addition.
I mean, the article that I brought up doesn't mention crypto, but it may have been part of that story.
I thought there was something I saw.
And then New Sports says, yeah, we're going to get to this, New Sports, the Sony betting patent. We will get to that. New Sports says, so ESL purchase starts to make sense. What are you referring to there? I'm not sure. DL spent 70% of their budget on ads.
DraftKings is what he meant to say.
Oh, Yeah, well, customer acquisition is the
but this is an interesting. So the article I pulled up, it says in addition to gambling and alcohol, there's 2 other new sponsorship categories: crypto and armed forces, which is interesting.
Okay.
I don't know what to make of that. I mean, the crypto is a whole conversation we can go down. Like, that's a rabbit hole in and of itself. I'm not sure why they weren't allowing crypto. Like, maybe that was just some internal rule, but it seems there's nothing inherently inappropriate about crypto besides the fact that it's probably just a giant bubble. But the armed forces one is interesting and kind of plays into the fact that maybe they are looking at the data and saying, hey, this does skew older. What is appropriate to market to an 18 to 30-year-old that isn't appropriate to market to a 13 to 18-year-old, and join the military probably is one of those things. So,
or it's just that the military has made it known to the gaming world that they have millions of dollars to spend on recruitment, and those dollars are, easily accessible because shooters are right in their wheelhouse in terms of target customers. Or target recruits in this case, right?
But why would they have had the policy against the military before? Is the
because
military
of the potential backlash, right? What do you call brainwashing 13-year-old kids? They can't make a decision for themselves. It's that kind of thinking, I guess. But their holier than thou approach, I agree, never really made sense, right? Like, because very few other games followed suit, right? I'm trying to think if any had explicitly not allowed those things. Fortnite maybe, because I'm trying to think. Fortnite never had any liquor sponsors or anything as part of their events, and maybe they just saw the success of Fortnite and said, "Look, let's be family friendly. It will reach a bigger audience as a consequence." The reason why I like this story is because it kind of ties into a second story where I want to push back on you guys. Like, one thing you guys said is you don't think there's any parents, right, that would, and I'm curious what chat thinks in terms of would parents look at this and go, now I won't let my kid watch Overwatch, or I won't let my kid play Overwatch, right? Because this may be a bad influence on them.